Welcome back to the third installment of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly for assault rifles. And this week, or this time, I guess I'm not doing once a week, today we're doing Dahl assault rifles. Dahl assault rifles, like most Dahl guns, are basically just solid stat assault rifles. Let's see if I can get to my regular one here. With a 5-round burst if you have a Dahl stock, and 4-round burst if you do not. They have very low recoil, very high accuracy, making them almost sniper rifle accurate, but like assault rifles, they do have your bad crit bonus. But you can land a lot of pellets on target very easily. You can do it at range, and that's just an incredible grouping. So that's Dahl assault rifles. They are precision instruments. Some people love them, some people do not care for them so much. So to start with, we will go in rarity order again. The Seraphim. Seraphim's a very solid upgrade, not a highly used gun. I don't think it's a bad gun. It's questionable. Some people consider this kind of a top tier weapon, some do not. And we'll dig into this a second, but first let's just admire that skin. I love it when Gearbox goes the extra mile just to make a really cool skin on a gun. So to compare it to its Carabine purple version, I have them both in fire because the Seraphim only comes in fire. That's a massive damage upgrade. That accuracy is just laughable. Why even mess with changing it if you're going to change it that little? You suffer on the reload speed, but you make up for it with the magazine. So the other thing here is it has a different burst. So you can see it's a 3-round burst, and you see it bounces around a little bit. So it has increased recoil. So the grouping isn't nearly as tight. You can see that bounce around, and just again you can see it's got the same stock. So it's got a smaller burst, higher recoil, bigger magazine size, and that's pretty slow reload. And just so you know, no skills, oops, and no bar. So when I shoot him here, I'm just going to go for a single shot first. So 572k to 1.3 million. So on a 3-round burst, which I can keep in there, you see that's just about 4 million. With this, not even close. So even though it's got a 3-round burst compared to a 5, you're doing a lot more damage here, and you can get more out of the mag without reloading, which kind of cancels out that reload speed issue. You know, 3.5 from 2.8 is a big change, but 11 more in the magazine and only taking 3 rounds per burst, you're going to get a lot more bursts per magazine. You know, this one you're getting, what, 6 bursts? And this one you're getting 14, and that's without any mag size increases. That's a massive difference. So I think the Seraphim's just a really solid upgrade overall. And I don't have a whole lot of complaints about it. It's not that widely used. Maybe it's because it's fire only and it's an assault rifle and people generally don't use them. But it does a lot of damage. It kills really well. It's not quite a raiding gun, but that's okay. There's more to this game than just raids. So maybe that'll be one of the guns I bring into Lynchwood to play with. Next we have the Bearcat. Now this is one where they really didn't do anything to the skin, and that's kind of sad. So here, compared to a regular Grenadier, you have, let's see, more damage just because you have more pellets and a bigger magazine size, but 6 ammo per shot, where normal Grenadier does 3 ammo per shot. And like the Jacobs cannons, oh, you gotta watch out. So these bounce and have a delay on it. And that's kind of the issue with this gun. It's not the fact that 3 of those can't hurt. Now, if you do directly hit an enemy, actually, I'm going to reload and we'll count the burst here. 39. They do directly kind of blow up, but it can bounce back and kill you. And the spread is pretty wide as well, and that's why some of them are bouncing off that wall and not hitting him. So this gun has issues. Did any of those bounce back and hit me? Nope. So we'll compare it to this. That same burst. You can't crit with it once again. So the Grenadier, you're getting more grenades per burst. You got that kind of same delay. So the ammo, 6 ammo per shot ends up equaled out with those, but it takes too long for that grenade to blow up unless it directly hits an enemy. It can kill you, which is dangerous. Just in general, it's kind of lacking. Not a whole lot of people love this. You know, again, I think part of the Grenadier problem is they take too much ammo, even though assault rifles have a deep pool. And since they can't crit, their damage isn't increased enough. And I think the radius on the explosions of the grenades could be a little bigger. And, you know, I'm just not a fan of Grenadiers in general. Now, I should say Axon and Krieg can make these guns very good. You know, this thing can just put out a wall of death with all these grenades. But you still don't see it used very much, especially outside of Axon and Krieg, for that reason. You know, Maya's Reaper doesn't even touch grenades, so it doesn't increase the damage on these. It is an upgrade in every way compared to a regular Grenadier, so that's a plus. They didn't really hurt it other than the ammo cost, but when you're, that's not even really that bad considering you're getting, you know, 3 pellets for 6 rather than 1 pellet for 3. You end up getting more grenades per pellet, so that's not terrible. I'm just not a huge fan of it, and I think they could have done a little better with it, making it a pearl, because it doesn't really have that damage output for a pearl. You can have them come in elements, which does help a lot, but I don't know. I mean, that damage is increased quite a bit here, you can see, so that probably does make up for the fact that it can't crit, at least on Dahl. I know on Jacobs it did not have enough of a damage increase, so at least the Dahl they kind of did that right. So you can make use of it, but it's limited to certain classes. Next we have the Veruca. You know, they gave it kind of a nice pretty paint job, but not nearly the Seraphim. So when you compare it to the carbine here, you have more damage per pellet and 3 pellets, and that's very cool. Higher accuracy, very cool. Higher magazine size, very cool. But there's a caveat to that magazine size. So, once again, a regular carbine here. 5-round burst. Very tight spread. Very solid. The Veruca, I'm going to actually have to get closer here to show you that so I don't hit those poles. So what happens here is they shoot wide, but with each burst, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they get towards that middle. So on the 4th and 5th shot, you can land all the pellets on there, but on the first one, not really. And you can see the spread is pretty tight. Those bullets are pretty much on top of each other. So you can definitely stay on target. And it's 2 ammo per shot, as you can see there. So it's 10 per burst. So you're only getting 4 bursts before a reload, which isn't great. They could have increased the mag size a little bit more to compensate for that. And at certain points, you're just wasting bullets to kill an enemy. So like this guy, if we were out in the wild, would be trash mob. And you know, that's going to kill him probably. 1 burst. But that is 10 bullets. And assault rifles do have the deepest ammo pool in the game, but do you want to spend 10 bullets to kill a trash mob enemy? That's the question. So you can see here, see if I can get a better freeze frame. So you can see 496 typically, and then that last one, you're hitting 3 on crit. Now if we compare this to a regular one, 392. So it is just a flat out DPS increase from the carbine, but the problem is those first 4 shots, maybe 3 depending on the enemy size and everything, aren't going to really be hitting unless you have a bunch of enemies kind of grouped up together where you can kind of knock away a little at them. So, you know, loaders, it does come in elements, so corrosive is pretty good because you're going to land those on faster with those wider bodies, especially like super and ultis. It's pretty nice on constructors, not that bad on either. So it's kind of mixed. I wish the starting spread wasn't as wide with it, but I can't complain too much because I mean it is just a direct upgrade in almost every way. So yeah, if that spread was just a little tighter to start with, where let's say at least the last 2 were dialed in to really kind of consistently hit on most enemies, then I think you would see a lot more use of this, especially if that first one wasn't so wide. You know, if we were starting here, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or even here, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think we'd see much more use of it, but just starting out that wide kind of hurts. Like I said, on loaders here, you can see this can definitely hit within a loader. So you can do a lot more on a loader. In fact, even those big ones, you can see that 3 wide would probably hit them. So it has a lot of potential, but just not quite there. It's definitely a solid upgrade. It's also an interesting red text gun, I think. And that's one thing I've complained about some of these guns, like, oh, let's just increase the damage and we're done. That's kind of dull to me. I like what they did with the Veruca. I just wish they did it slightly better. So now the Scorpio, Roland's old gun. So this is another kind of underused gun that it's better than most people give it credit for. So here you can see once again, increase pretty much across the board, and that accuracy, I don't even count that against it. Very nice fire rate, very nice magazine size. And before I shoot this, I'm going to go over to this clean wall, so 27. So you can see the blue guns have a smaller burst here. Just a 3-round burst compared to that purple. So now let's go to the Scorpio. So we have 34. So that was a 6-round burst, very tight too. That was not a 6-round burst, so this one you have to keep watching. So that was a 5. Oh, that was a reload. So what it is, this gun has a bit of RMG to the burst, so you have different burst counts. But you can see there, it's very stable. You can keep it on target. It comes in all elements. Pretty fast reload too there. 2.8 is not bad. I guess that doesn't change. But compared to some of those other ones. Oh, there, I got a little recoil out of there. But yeah, you can keep this on target for the most part and put out a lot of damage. This is another good upgrade. It's just pretty much a stat and burst upgrade from a blue version, and that makes it work. The disappointing thing here is Roland's turret was very cool in Borderlands 1, and I think they could have brought a little bit more from that. Maybe some health kickback, maybe some ammo kickback, like some of those cool support things Roland's turret did. It would have been cool to kind of see that worked into a gun. Maybe that's getting too moxie. I don't know, but this is, it's a quest reward, and I think it's just on the storyline as well. So it's, you know, it's a gun everyone's gonna get, and it's a solid gun, as long as you get decent parts on it. I know there is a fan base of this gun out there, and it definitely has a lot of potential. As you can see, that's just a lot of dots I'm putting out there. They're not dots, but you know, you see all those critical hits, all that damage popping up there. Each shot isn't much damage. See at 380, but it does come in elements, so you can match elements. That helps. So I guess that would be its downfall. It does have kind of low base damage, but for that fire rate, that's not a bad damage number at all. So overall, these Dahl guns, most of them are done pretty well, but this is where some people, you know, say assault rifles kind of suck, and that's why these aren't that good. They're based on kind of crappy guns. And maybe I'll take a few of these into Lynchwood and play with them, so we can kind of, you know, argue that point. Because they don't need to be high damage like Jacobs. They're, you know, more that Vlad-off range, and we saw those work pretty well. So that is a Dahl assault rifles. Once again, Gearbox did a pretty good job of these upgrades. They didn't destroy any of them by bad negative penalties. You know, some of them received a burst reduction. You got more ammo per shot, but that's on more pellets, so that's understandable. I think in general, Borderlands or Gearbox did a good job designing these, and they're kind of a good example of, you know, the way to design red text guns, I guess. Especially the Veruca, even though, you know, it's a little too wide. I think it's really interesting. Some of the other ones are a little more straightforward, but they're all solid in general. So that is Dahl assault rifles. Not quite the excitement I have over the Vlad-off, but there's really not too much to rag on here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Come over to the thread, post there. You know, share this, like it, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. We've got quite a few more of these to go, so I think Bandit and Torg are left for assault rifles, and we'll see how those turn out. Bandit definitely has some interesting ones, and Torg has some really good ones. So look forward to doing those, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.